you think somebody could kidnap a kid and keep him underground? In the sewers.
The more I learn about the menace of Pennywise and his violent cycle of terror, the more I realize that the sewers of Derry play a crucial role in supporting his entire act. Well, they might seem like any other sewer system at first, but there's something particularly unnerving about the sewers in Derry that make the network a happy breeding ground for a cosmic entity like Pennywise. So what is it that really sets the sewers of Derry apart, and what is the actual history of this sewer network? In this video, I'll look to find answers to this seemingly unimportant question that actually holds a lot of significance. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
All of the tunnels are underground.
The cursed origins of Derry. Before we can talk about the sewers, we need to understand Derry itself, because this town is fundamentally cursed from its very foundation. According to Stephen King's mythology, Derry exists on what's called a thinny, which is essentially a weak spot in reality where the fabric between dimensions has worn thin. These thin spots allow creatures from other dimensions to slip through into our world, and that's exactly what happened millions of years ago when it arrived on Earth. Pennywise came to Earth in a massive cataclysmic event, similar to an asteroid impact, and it landed in what would eventually become Derry, Maine. The creature slumbered beneath the Earth for eons, waiting for humanity to arrive and build a settlement right on top of its landing site. The town of Derry was officially founded around 1715, though the exact date varies depending on which source you consult. The original settlers, known as the Derry Company, numbered about 300 people, and they were English colonists with a formal charter. In 1741, just a few decades after the town was established, all 340 settlers mysteriously disappeared without a trace. No bodies, no explanation, just gone. This was its first major feeding cycle in Derry, and it set the pattern for centuries of horror to come. The construction of Derry's sewer system. Now let's get to the sewers themselves, because understanding when and how they were built is crucial to understanding why they became such a perfect lair for Pennywise. Stephen King was directly inspired by the real sewers of Bangor, Maine, where he's lived for most of his life. According to King himself, the sewers of Bangor were poorly built and extremely difficult to map, which he incorporated directly into his vision of Derry. In the real world, Bangor's public water service began in 1875, with the installation of extensive pipe systems. The town experienced significant flooding issues, which necessitated the construction of comprehensive sewer systems. In King's fictional Derry, the timeline appears to be similar. While King doesn't specify the exact year the sewer system was built in the novel, there are strong clues pointing to the late 1800s and early 1900s. The book mentions a catastrophic flood in 1908 that was one of the worst in Derry's history. This flood killed 36 people, including 7 children, and destroyed homes and streets throughout the town. Historical records suggest that major sewer systems were often implemented after such disasters to prevent future flooding. Based on when certain laws went into effect and how cities responded to natural disasters during that era, it's highly likely that Derry's sewer system was constructed in the aftermath of this flood, possibly between 1908 and the 1920s. There's also a fascinating real-world parallel. King himself mentioned in a 2002 interview that Bangor's sewer system was hastily built in the 1930s during the WPA era, when the government was throwing money at public works projects. He claimed that the town's engineers lost track of what they were building down there, and as a result, nobody has a truly reliable map of the Bangor sewer system. Whether this is true or urban legend, King used this concept brilliantly in It, making Derry sewers a labyrinthine nightmare that's impossible to fully map or navigate. What we know for certain is that by the time the story of It takes place in the 1950s and 1980s, Derry has an extensive underground sewer network connecting virtually every part of the town. This system includes storm drains, pump stations in the barrens, and a complex network of tunnels that run beneath the streets, connecting the key locations like the house on 29 Neibolt Street and extending all the way to the Kitchener Ironworks. The architecture of Pennywise's underground domain. Pennywise doesn't actually live in the sewers, the creature lives beneath them, and the sewers simply provide access to its true lair. This is a crucial distinction that often gets lost in the adaptations. In the novel, when the Losers Club ventures into the sewers to confront It, they discover that the sewer tunnels eventually give way to something far more ancient and mysterious. After crawling through the modern sewer pipes, the kids find themselves in a stone-built tunnel deep underground, about a quarter-mile beneath a hill, according to Eddie's estimation. This ancient corridor is constructed of massive stones, with buttress-like supports on the ceiling and enormous stone blocks paving the pathway. As they progress deeper, the tunnel expands dramatically to about 100 feet wide, creating this vast underground space that resembles a cathedral more than a sewer. They encounter the remains of a long-dead Derry sewer network in these tunnels, suggesting that the city maintenance crews have occasionally stumbled into these deeper, older passages. At the end of this grand stone tunnel, there's a door that leads into Pennywise's true lair, a massive underground cavern beneath the Kitchener Ironworks that exists in a space that seems to defy normal physics. This raises an incredible question that fans have debated for years. Did it create these ancient stone passages, or were they built by some forgotten civilization? The novel suggests that these deep tunnels existed long before Derry's modern sewers were constructed, possibly carved by Pennywise itself over millions of years as it created its nest. The creature essentially terraformed the underground, building a massive subterranean complex that the unwitting city planners later connected to when they built their sewer system. Why the sewers are the perfect nest. So now we get to the heart of the matter. Why are the sewers such an ideal hunting ground for a cosmic entity? There are multiple strategic advantages that make this setup absolutely perfect for a creature like Pennywise. First and foremost, the sewers provide complete concealment and protection. It has been living beneath Derry since before the town existed, hibernating in deep caverns where no human would naturally venture. When the city built its sewer system, they inadvertently created a network of access tunnels that connected its ancient lair to every neighborhood, every street, and every storm drain in town. Suddenly, this cosmic predator had convenient pathways to travel anywhere in Derry completely unseen. Pennywise can move through the entire town via the sewers, emerging from storm drains, basements, and pump stations whenever it wants to hunt. The creature doesn't need to walk down Main Street or drive a car. It has a hidden highway system beneath everyone's feet. In the movies and the book, we see Pennywise using this to devastating effect, appearing in bathroom sinks, basement drains, and that iconic storm drain where Georgie meets his fate. The darkness and isolation of the sewers also serve another crucial purpose. They amplify fear. It feeds on fear. That's literally how the creature sustains itself. The entity salts its meat by terrifying victims before consuming them. And what's more terrifying than being dragged into the dark, damp sewers where no one can hear you scream? Pennywise dwelling in the sewers is also metaphorically perfect, because the creature thrives on the town's collective denial and repression. Derry's adults are under its influence, causing them to ignore or rationalize away the disappearances and horrors happening around them. The labyrinthine nature of Derry's sewers provides another massive advantage. Remember, the system is poorly mapped and incredibly complex, with tunnels branching in multiple directions, pump stations, and connections that seemingly make no sense. This means that even if someone ventures down there to hunt for Pennywise, they're immediately at a disadvantage. The creature knows every tunnel, every junction, every shortcut, while intruders are stumbling around in the dark, completely lost. It can lead pursuers in circles, trap them in dead ends, or simply vanish into passages that don't appear on any city map. The connection to water is also significant. Derry is built in a river valley along the Penobscot, and the town has a long history of devastating floods. The sewers were designed to manage water flow and prevent flooding, which means they're constantly filled with running water, creating ambient noise that masks movement and communication. The dampness, the echoes, the rushing water, all of these environmental factors create sensory confusion that works in Pennywise's favor. The Predator's perfect hunting ground. Let's talk about how Pennywise actually uses the sewers for hunting, because this creature is nothing if not strategic. It operates on a 27-year cycle, awakening to feed for about a year or two before returning to hibernation. During these active periods, the sewers become a killing floor with multiple entry and exit points throughout Derry. The storm drains are particularly ingenious. They're designed to channel rainwater off the streets, which means they're everywhere, on every corner, along every curb. For children in the 1950s and 1960s, these drains were just part of the urban landscape, places where paper boats might float by or where you might lose a ball. Pennywise weaponizes this familiarity, using the drains as lures and ambush points. The creature can watch the streets from below, select targets, and then emerge just long enough to grab a victim before vanishing back underground. The house at 29 Neibolt Street is another example of this strategic positioning. This abandoned house sits directly above a major junction in the sewer system, providing Pennywise with easy access to the surface without using a storm drain. The well house, as it's called, has a cistern that connects directly to the sewers, essentially functioning as an elevator between its deep lair beneath the Kitchener Ironworks and the town above. For Pennywise, it's the perfect staging ground, a place where the creature can manifest, terrify victims, and retreat without ever fully leaving its territory. The sewers also provide a disposal system for victims. This is gruesome but necessary to understand. When it kills children, their bodies often end up in the sewers, where they're either hidden in the deep tunnels or washed away by water flow. This makes investigations difficult and helps maintain the town's collective denial about what's happening. Bodies might eventually wash up in the Barrens or alongside the Kenduskeag stream, but by then, evidence has been destroyed by the water and time. Perhaps most disturbing is how the sewers allow Pennywise to keep victims alive. In It Chapter 2, we see partially devoured children floating in its lair, suggesting the creature doesn't always kill immediately. The deep caverns beneath the sewers provide a place where it can store victims, letting their fear intensify over time before feeding. This is the ultimate nightmare, being trapped in the darkness beneath Derry, knowing that something is down there with you, waiting.
Do you think somebody could kidnap a kid and keep him underground? In the sewers.
The Sewers in Welcome to Derry. The new HBO series It, Welcome to Derry expands on the history we've been discussing, taking us back to 1962 to explore an earlier cycle of Pennywise's terror. What's fascinating about this prequel is how it shows us the sewers when they were relatively new infrastructure. The construction we discussed, likely completed in the decades following the 1908 flood, means these tunnels are only about 50 or 60 years old during the 1962 setting. This timing is significant because it suggests that Pennywise has only had access to this modern sewer network for 1 or 2 previous feeding cycles. The series has the opportunity to explore how it adapted to this new infrastructure, learning to use the storm drains and pump stations as hunting grounds. We might see the creature still figuring out the optimal ways to use these tunnels, perhaps making mistakes or experimenting with different approaches. The show also emphasizes the historical context of 1962, the civil rights movement, pervasive racism, and Cold War anxieties. All of these social tensions feed into the fear and negativity that Pennywise thrives on. The sewers become not just a physical hunting ground, but a metaphor for the buried prejudices and violence that American society was trying to ignore. Just as sewage flows beneath the streets out of sight, so too does the town's racism and cruelty operate in the shadows, creating a perfect environment for the fear-eating entity. Marvelous verdict. Pennywise couldn't have found a better nest. So the sewers were built by human city planners in the early 20th century, likely in the years following the catastrophic 1908 flood, as a modern infrastructure project meant to protect the town from future disasters. They had no idea they were building a network of access tunnels that would connect an ancient evil to every corner of their town. The sewers are perfect for Pennywise because they provide concealment, mobility, strategic positioning, and psychological terror all in one package. They allow the creature to move anywhere in town, unseen, emerging from countless entry points to hunt before vanishing back underground. The darkness and isolation amplify fear. The labyrinthine layout confuses pursuers, and the connection to Derry's infrastructure makes it inseparable from the town itself. Most importantly, the sewers are perfect because they're hidden. They represent everything that polite society sweeps under the rug: waste, fear, death, and the monstrous truth that evil can exist right beneath our feet without us noticing. And that, my friends, is why the sewers of Derry are the perfect nest for a cosmic entity. They're not just tunnels under a town, they're the arteries of horror itself, pumping fear through the heart of a cursed community. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what aspect of It lore you want me to dive into next. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.